Hi everyone. It's Sunday, March 14th. Time for another HideNet Week in Review. I'm Vera Dordick. We're going to start with the U.S. this week because it was one heck of a week for the market. To say that prices rose is an understatement because even veteran sellers were pretty surprised by how much prices went up quite literally overnight. Actually, producers offered next to nothing this week, but they were still flooded with unsolicited bids. And the bottom line is that prices are up sharply across the board. We talk about why this happened in our observations this week in the U.S. report, so you'll want to read about that, but let's look at some specific prices. Heavy Texas steers, which had been relatively steady with highs of $31, are now up to $34.50. Other steer selections went up a minimum of $2, and Colorado's, also known as branded steers, zoomed up by close to $5 to a high of $37. The cow market was also active with prices decidedly higher on all selections, especially Holsteins. On the shipping front, nothing has changed, and sellers of all types are struggling to get hides to the port and out to sea. Last week's export report had shipments up 3% at 498,600, but it's a far cry from what they need to be to start clearing the shipment backlog. Looking at slaughter for the week through Saturday, March 13th, the total was estimated at 647,000, which is 3% down from last week. And we'll have to see what happens with a winter storm of reportedly historic proportions that's predicted to hit the western U.S. this weekend. And if it lingers into next week, it could affect slaughter totals also. Turning to Europe, editor Andrea Guolo says that Asian buyers are back in the market, but not always at sustainable price levels. The latest news from Italy is reporting that COVID spikes mean that starting Monday, most populated areas are going to have additional restrictions and be on a new type of lockdown, and that's going to be extended for the whole country through Easter weekend. In the UK, Andrea says that British hides are having a hard time because prices are high, and there are also some shipment difficulties, some Brexit related. The 36 plus ox is still being sold at £1.18, with some of the best selections hitting £1.25. The Irish equivalent is slightly lower priced at €1.10. And among bulls, slaughter is still limited and competition is hot for the best lots. A few batches of Southern German added a few cents and sold at €1.68, but other origins were pretty much unchanged. In the European cow market, demand was up, but prices were not, because much of the interest is from Chinese buyers, and they tend to purchase at lower levels. In the veal skin market, extremely limited availability is set to push prices higher, especially at the high end of the market, although prices remain stable this week yet. In his analysis, Andrea looks at the sales and the work situation in the tanneries and some of the bigger deals that were concluded in Arzignano this past week. He also assesses all the difficulties in the market at this moment. Turning to Brazil, raw material prices keep rising in Brazil, and editor Ronald Guiel says that fresh hides closed higher at $2.42 per kilo. TR1 managed to remain stable, selling for $1.07 per square foot, and as we said before, that's causing some problems. Domestically, Ronald says demand remains low and the country continues to see COVID-19 infections increase and death rates have surged again. In other news from Brazil, the country's February exports of hides and skins were up by close to 12% compared to the same month last year. And they were also up by 12% over January. As for the total in square meters, February's total was 2.4% below the same month last year, but 6.1% higher than January. We also have items on Brazil's Marfrig posting a record profit in 2020, much of that driven by their U.S. beef business. The footwear exports from the country are up for the second consecutive month, so that's good news. From elsewhere in Latin America, Argentina's hide market is in crisis and slaughter is expected to be even lower in 2021. Colombia's February inflation was driven higher by fashion footwear, and Mexico had a successful in-person SAPIC affair. So that's all we have for this week. And until next week, good night from HideNet.